Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, I'm Jay Fallon. If you're listening, well, then you're listening to The Slippery Slope. Thanks for listening. So, listen, this story had come up, and I find it a little weird for where we're going as a nation. When you look at something you always want in your nation, okay, no matter what's happening, what other kind of civil, what's happening in the civilian world, what kind of civilian rest or unrest might be happening. Like at the moment, uh, we've had some protests. We've had some protests going on about the like pro-Palestinian movements and all this kind of thing. We've had some weird things going on in the nation. However, I always thought that no matter what's going on, what kind of civil unrest may be going on, what you need to be able to rely on in a nation that I think is well structured is you need to be able to rely on the stability of your military. And at the moment, I'm not convinced that we can rely on this. Let's look at this article here. Now it's talking about how Liz Storer, who's she's from the Sky News. Liz Storer criticizes ADF, that's Australian Defence Force's decision to adopt gender neutral language. So anyway, it goes down. Storer's criticism of the ADF's decision represents a viewpoint opposing linguistic modifications that promote gender neutrality. Her critique invites questions about the implications of altering established terminologies in traditionally male-dominated fields such as defense and military operations. It also underscores the ongoing social debate on language, gender, and inclusivity. Look, I'm all for inclusivity when it comes to the military, as long as we understand that there is only male and female in this world. There is no non-binary. There's no such thing as non-binary. There's no such thing as whatever name you want to make up for your supposed gender. You're only male or female. So I'm all for inclusivity. Can't talk properly today when it comes to that, but we've got to keep it within the realms of reality and not someone's fantasy. Anyway, so it goes on. The ADF's initiative represents a broader trend of adopting gender neutral language in various professional settings. The adoption of gender neutral terminology in defense and military contexts is a departure from traditional language. The ADF aims to foster inclusivity within its ranks, signaling a commitment to modernizing its language and practices. However, as Storer's criticism highlights, this linguistic shift has its detractors who argue that such changes could be detrimental to established practices and traditions. Goes on talking about the implications of language choices. So the debate surrounding the ADF's terminology raises questions about the impact of language on perceptions, traditions, and inclusivity. The ADF's commitment to inclusivity and diversity reflected in its language choices aligns with the broader efforts to address gender bias and equality within the armed forces. The criticism, however, indicates that adoption of gender neutral language may be perceived as a departure from established norms. The debate over gender neutral language serves as a reflection of wider societal discussions about representation, equality, and the rule of language in shaping cultural norms. Now, why? The main reason why I'm talking about this, like I said, if there's one thing that you want in a nation that's, a stable nation, a nation that can run even no matter what else is happening in our world, no matter who's protesting, who's getting up and talking about what other ideas are out there floating around. You want a military that is stable in their thinking. You want a military that's still just very steady, going along, minding its own business, no matter what else is going on, no matter who's in government at the time. Our military is always the same. Military just keeps doing what it's doing, no matter who is in government, no matter what silly little ideas are out there in society. Military doesn't change. If our military and the police ranks they've had a lot of issues with their recruitment in the last couple of years. And so they've decided, both areas have decided, well, hey, we want to be more inclusive. We want to bring all these other people in who mightn't feel, maybe in the past, they mightn't have felt included in our workforces. So we want to be able to bring these people in. The problem I say is this the kind of person that you want to bring into your military? Do we really need someone who is that fragile, that sensitive, that they're actually considering, that they're actually concerned whether something has the term, the word man in its title? When we're talking about aircraft that don't have a crew, drones, we have to call them uncrewed and not unmanned. I tell you, when I was in the police, especially when I was in general duties, there was some people, you'd be going to a job and you knew it was maybe going to be a little violent, or they were, if I'd had experiences with these people before, you sit there going, there are some people you want sitting in the car next to you, or at least knowing that they're in the next car and they're on their way, because you're sitting there going, okay, I can rely on these people to have my back. Things are going to go down. I'm not a big guy. I'm not a small guy, just average. I always try to keep fit. You always want to keep on top of things and think, well, if things go down, at least I'll be able to handle myself, protect myself. And I want the guy next to me, or the person next to me, being able to protect themselves and maybe help me if I get in trouble, and vice versa. The trouble is, sometimes I'll be sitting next to people and thinking, man, I wish someone else is here, because, and it wasn't always a, like, it wasn't just because, like, if they were, don't think I'm thinking of females only. It's not the females. It's the person itself. Because sometimes you'd be sitting there going, I'd prefer a certain female there, because I know how they can handle themselves and what they're like. You don't want someone who's sitting there and they are, I would not want someone who is so consumed with language and with terminology that is at the forefront of their mind, and they can't concentrate on the task at hand, especially when violence erupts. When you end up in a hard situation, you want someone that gets in there and gets their hands dirty, not worried about what's the terminology that you're using, what's the language that you're using. I guarantee you, the Chinese and the Russians, they're not sitting there talking about gender neutral language. What are they talking about? What are they thinking about? They're thinking about how to make their weapons better, bigger, faster. How to train their personnel to become the best soldiers, the best military people that anyone will ever find. That's what they're concerned about. They're not concerned of whether people feel included in the language, regardless of whether you're male, female, or you identify as some other illusion, imaginary illusion. That's not what they're thinking about. They want to be the best and the biggest and the strongest and the smartest. And at the moment, they look at Western society, they look at militaries like Australia's, and we're thinking about, oh well, someone in there is sitting there thinking, we want to rename our drones to uncrewed instead of saying unmanned, because we want to be inclusive. If this is the kind of personnel that you are looking to bring in to the military, well, then no wonder why you're having problems. No wonder why police are having problems, because they are not the kind of personnel that will have the back of the soldier or the police officer next to them. They won't. They are too worried about hurting people's feelings. And don't get me wrong, I think we need to be polite. We need to be polite. We need to be, you need to be able to get along with people. You need to be able to, you don't want to. I don't want to go out of my way to insult people. And I believe it's actually pretty arrogant of us, not of Western culture in general, but it's pretty arrogant of our defense force to think that, well, this is the most concerning thing we have at the moment is inclusivity in our language. Not do we have the most well-trained military officers, military personnel that we can possibly find in this nation? Do we have the best? And it's arrogant of us, it's arrogant of our military to think that this doesn't really matter. But, you know, having someone who is so fragile, so mentally fragile that they'll become unhinged because our drones are referred to as unmanned aircraft. Well, we're just on the wrong path, aren't we? Anyway, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. I've said before, you know, I don't particularly like carrying on too much about the gender thing, the transgender thing, because I think it's in a way it is kind of punching down, because you've got these people who I think they've got mental issues and they need mental help. But when you have people out there like the military, when you have people who are supposedly setting the standards for our society, and they come up with these crazy ideas like this, it's bombastic. It's ridiculous. Anyway, you let me know what you think. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. No more selling out my soul just to focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize. Gonna say all the clouds and tears outside. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. No more selling out my soul just to focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna